This is Jordan Edwards, and this is the Business Jiu-Jitsu Podcast. Good afternoon, Jared Haymon.
Good afternoon.
Pleasure to have you on the Business Jiu-Jitsu Podcast. Man, am I excited to talk to you. I say that with all sincerity. You have one of the coolest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu concepts going today. You're an entrepreneur. You run a Jiu-Jitsu academy. You are in the real estate business like me. And you are such an inspiration to me. I often speak about you, not as you, Jared, but you as in the next generation of entrepreneurs who didn't ask permission, and you're doing it your own way, and you're coming up. And I think that you just are going to be so inspiring to so many young people out there in the next generation on how to do business and compete in 2025 and beyond. So really excited to jump into some of that with you. But before we do, I would love if you could just take a minute or two, introduce yourself, where you're from, where you're sitting, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Jordan, happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I've been following Business Jiu-Jitsu from the very beginning, and I am truly honored and thrilled to be here talking to you today. And a little bit about me, man. I fell in love with Jiu-Jitsu whenever I was 14 years old. And in a lot of ways, in almost every way, Jiu-Jitsu has led me to be the person that I am, the businessman that I am. And, listening to your podcast and knowing your takes and your approaches and having the different guests that you've had on talking about how Jiu-Jitsu really helps you be a better entrepreneur, helps you to know whenever you have challenges, how to figure things out and have that same kind of a strategy mindset that we use in Jiu-Jitsu and apply that to business. That's truly been inspirational, and it's helped a lot as I've navigated so many business challenges over the past several years. But I mean, to keep it kind of light to start, man, I don't know what else to say other than at 14 years old, I truly believe that Jiu-Jitsu was something that I'll tell everybody, I feel like God put Jiu-Jitsu in my life in a time that I needed it. And it's been a godsend for me ever since, man. I really, truly love Jiu-Jitsu, and I love what it's done for me. And I love turning around and showing other people what it can do for them,
Yeah. Well, in addition to running the Pit Boss Grappling Association with your John Wick Invitational, you also own the Rock Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and you're a black belt under Tom DeBlass. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is right.
That's excellent. And so where is the Rock facility located?
Yeah, the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team is located in Castle Rock, Colorado. That is literally right in the middle of Colorado, right between Colorado Springs and Denver. We're like 30 minutes from both of those cities. So
that's south of Denver, right?
South of Denver and then north of Colorado Springs.
Yeah. I usually head out to Colorado at least once a year to do some skiing. So the next time that I land in Denver, I got to remember to make a little extra time to come visit you.
Please do, man.
And that's been a huge part of my life. I don't just say that empty. I have trained all over the world. I've trained in like 10 or maybe close to 15 states. Everywhere I go in the world, I bring my gear and I just find academies to walk in. 2 weeks ago, I was in Paris training at Gracie Barra. And the week before that, I was in Ibiza training at the Art of Flow Academy, which is a Cohobrina affiliate. So I will visit you. I don't know when, but I will.
That's awesome, man. I can't say that I've been to Ibiza or Paris to train, but I am like you. I take training gear everywhere that I go. So any and everywhere that I go, I always try to make a point of going and meeting some new people and sharing the mats with them. So I love that.
From your perspective, like what is it about Jiu-Jitsu that makes it like this global, brother and sisterhood where you could just like walk in and all of a sudden you're welcome?
I think it just kind of gets us involved with each other in a core kind of almost instinctual way that I feel like there's nothing that can supplement it. We're on the mats with each other, close quarters interaction, and we're trusting each other with our lives. And we're also trusting each other to better ourselves, to carve out the best versions of ourselves on the mat and always learning something. That should always be the goal. And that's what I always tell all my students. That's what I try to embody whenever I go visit a gym. I'm sure that you've learned the lesson. I remember whenever I was a teenager and I was, that hungry blue belt, I probably visited some gyms and I probably didn't have the etiquette that I should have, but growing and learning and having some of those people in my life that were able to teach me those lessons. Hey, whenever you visit a gym, always make a point of what are you going to learn when you leave? What are you writing down? What's the lesson? It's not about going and trying to just be like, oh, I beat everybody at the gym. No, it's what did I learn What did I learn
Mm.
at the gym? What did I learn from this session? And I think that that is the principle that makes jiu-jitsu what it is whenever you truly break down what it is, it's us teaching each other and learning from each other. And it's a beautiful thing, you know?
Yeah, it sure is. I think there's like something in the tap, there's some part of the submission that really makes jujitsu different than many martial, even wrestling, which I think wrestling teaches so much grit to these kids. But there's just something about having to submit to other people that I think is so powerful in being a better person. I don't know. What
Absolutely.
do you think of that? Yeah.
I mean, I think that the biggest example, the greatest example that I think of is kids. Like a lot of times, especially right now with the way that a lot of mainstream sports have started to be run with, participation medals and everybody wins. There's no way that everybody can win in jujitsu. And you see it in kids where they come in maybe the first couple of training sessions and they really take the losses very, very hard. And they'll cry a lot and they'll be emotional about it. And but after a while you see them realize, oh, this is a part of learning, is we get submitted and that's okay, we're on the same team and we're growing together, we're challenging each other. And eventually we'll have our day where we're going to turn around and we're helping other people learn those exact same lessons that we at one point had to learn. And you see it in adults too. I mean, the majority of people that I see really have a hard time keeping up with jujitsu and staying committed to it. They're the ones that are the hardest on themselves, and like they get tapped and they're the ones that are like slapping the mat and they're like, man, I suck, I'm horrible at jujitsu. And those are the guys that are always like, oh man, if you don't have a chat with them and you take the time to explain, listen, this is just part of it. Those are the guys that always quit the fastest because they're just being too hard on themselves. And they need to realize losing and getting submitted, that's a part of the journey. That's a part of learning, and that's a part of the entire experience. I saw Gary Tonin put something out not too long ago where he was explaining something like getting tapped out on an average training session. I don't remember the exact amount of times, but it was an exorbitant amount of times. And he was
Yeah.
like, most of you guys can't even fathom that. Like even at my level, I'm putting myself in bad positions and I'm tapping out this many times because I'm
Yeah.
trying to get better, not because I'm trying to show up to practice and just feel good about myself when I leave. So that, I think that speaks volumes to what you're asking there.
Yeah. I remember, I've heard Gary talk about that a lot, and on some podcast or some Instagram post, because he'll from time to time put up a good Instagram post. He was talking about back in the blue basement when he hurt his elbow. It wasn't training with some world champion who came in or some, person from Russia. He said it was a blue belt woman, and he was working armbar escapes, and she just got him. Like he was like intentionally putting himself and just trying to work out, and so
Yeah.
to your point, I think it's so many powerful lessons from jujitsu about humbling yourself and tap, and oh boy, are you going to need that in business? Is it like
Absolutely.
right? I mean, so yeah. So before we go down that path, maybe just continue the story a little bit. So did you grow up in Colorado?
I'm Colorado, born and raised, and actually been in Castle Rock most of my life. We moved to Castle Rock when I was 7. My
Mhm.
dad's a pastor in Denver. He's been a pastor all my life, and most of my family members, my grandpa on both sides, my great grandfathers on both sides, they're all ministers and church planners. So that's kind of my background. I was raised pretty conservatively, and I was homeschooled, and I went to my dad's church school part time, and I was really getting a little bit stir crazy. So
Mhm.
whenever they finally like let me try something, which the first thing for me was jujitsu. Like I didn't play any other sports. I didn't really have any other social outlet. So the first time I walked into the jujitsu gym, I was like, okay, this is awesome. I want to do this more and more. And it wasn't just the social outlet. I really believe that the social outlet was awesome, but something about it, just knowing that, okay, everybody that I'm seeing, I was very small when I started jujitsu. When I was 14, I mean, most 14-year-olds are, but like, I mean, I was 6 foot tall. So I was a taller guy, even at
Mhm.
14, but I was 120 pounds. Like
Wow.
I was tiny. And that's also due to, I was going through a medical condition at the time. And I literally started doing jujitsu like a month or two after I got out of the hospital. And jujitsu just like whenever I got in there and there was people smaller than me that were clearly able to just do whatever they wanted to me, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I got to learn how to do this. I need to learn this. I just got hooked. That's the best way to explain it. I got hooked, and everything about it for that time in my life is just exactly what I needed. And I knew I wanted to do it for the rest of my life. And like almost everybody, I mean, I had setbacks. I had moments where, I got discouraged. It felt like it was hard. It felt like I was maybe even plateauing at some points, and there was injuries that set me back. But I knew no matter what that I wanted to do jiu-jitsu for the rest of my life. And it was a goal very early on. I wanted to own my own gym at some point. I really thought it was going to be way later in life, like kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this whenever I'm older and kind of things have slowed down, and I'll start a gym then. And boy, it just happened that life and God had a different plan for me. So here we are today. Yeah.
Well, I don't know much about, I don't want to like pretend that I know more than I do, but I had some good friends in business. I've been blessed to do business all over the country. And one of my property managers, who was also a real estate appraiser, his name was Chris Bernard. Shout out Chris Bernard. But he moved to Colorado Springs to pursue higher education. As he was already an adult, he was probably already in his mid 50s at this point, to get a master's in some kind of theology in Christian, but also was part of this whole Christian entrepreneurship group that was there in Colorado Springs. And at the time,
Awesome.
he was telling me all about the Christian work ethic and entrepreneurism and like this whole group of entrepreneurs that were in that region. So I wonder am I scratching? Am I at something here? Like, do you know about what I'm talking about?
I've heard of a couple of different groups like that.
Yeah.
I myself am not really part of much other than just what's here locally in my community in Castle Rock.
Yeah.
I'm really plugged into the jiu-jitsu community in all of Colorado.
Yeah.
But I've heard of lots of different groups like that. And, if I'm being, God's always been a big part of my life. Christianity, faith has always been a big part of my life. But if I'm really being honest to my core and being honest with you, like it really started to become a big part of how I did business within probably like the past 5 years, I'd have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been there. It's always been something that I was considerate of. In fact, I got my business degree from Hope International University in California. I did it all online, but a lot of my studies were business as a mission. So that's very much been something that I've wanted to incorporate. The problem is in the appraisal world, there weren't like a ton of opportunities. I'm sure that on the real estate side, like being an agent and those kinds of things, there's probably more ways to incorporate it. For me, like the biggest and best way that I found to incorporate my faith in the appraisal business was putting a scripture on my business card, right? So other than that, it's very hard to be an appraiser and make anybody happy with you, right? Everybody either wants their property appraised super high if they're refinancing or buying, and then they want it super low if they're appealing their taxes, or if they're mad at their ex-spouse and they're trying to get the house valued less in their divorce case or whatever, right? So it's the appraisal world has been a blessing, but I've always seen it as a bridge to get me to where I really wanted to go with my life, because I just knew that eventually I wanted to just be all in on jiu-jitsu. I remember telling some of my coaches at my old gym, like, by the time I'm 30, do you think it's possible, like, all that I do is jiu-jitsu? And they're like, yeah, sure, maybe. Like it's possible. And I just remember that always kind of being a thing. It's like, by the time I was 30, I wanted to just only do jiu-jitsu, whatever that meant, whether it was just
Are
competing.
you 30 yet?
I'm 28. I'm 28 right now. So I feel like it's possible. I feel like we're almost there, maybe.
It's definitely possible. I mean, you are so far ahead of the game than almost anybody. I mean, you're right there. So you're definitely going to do it.
I hope so, man. I hope so. There's been a lot of challenges and setbacks, and I don't want to get too far deep or tell. I'll try to keep everything skinny and keep everything summarized for you. But dude, there has been so much that has happened to get. Not, I don't like to say me. I like to say us, because I've got my wife. Obviously, we're a team. We're just pretty much destined to be together and do life together and do business together. But also the team here at the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team, all the guys, man. Pit Boss would not be here if it wasn't for the right people being a part of the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team and encouraging me and telling me, all right, let's do this. Because a lot of the time, this is what I'm guilty of. I'll have the idea, and I'll just get so caught up and busy with other stuff. I'll tell people, this is important, tell the right people the idea, right? Because you tell the wrong person the idea, and they're like, it's horrible idea, don't ever do that. But I tell the right people, like I've got a core group of people here at the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team that I know I can trust, like, hey, I have this idea. And if I tell them, I know that they're not going to let me sit on it for too long. So after telling them, hey, I want to build pit walls, we were about to have our grand opening at the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team in 2024, because we didn't have a grand opening when we first opened. We just opened and started doing business because we had delays getting the building built, because we built the building from the ground up, and there was delay after delay. There was business partnerships that went south. There was all kinds of things that just they came out of nowhere. So as soon as we were able to get our temporary certificate of occupancy, we just started having classes. So eventually we were finally getting around to having the grand opening, and I told one of my buddies, hey, I want to build pit walls in the gym. And he's like, dude, why would you not do that before the grand opening? I was like, yeah, you're right. So like literally he told me this like a week before the grand opening. So we built our first pit like a week before the grand opening. But it was awesome, and it was definitely well worth it. And if it wasn't for that, we would have never even came up with Pit Boss Grappling and started having tournaments, and we would not be here if it wasn't for that. So it's pretty cool the way that things work out, you know.
So I was asking you, Jared, about if my timeline was right. So you opened the Rock Jiu-Jitsu Academy in 2024, and that was the same time that you started the Grappling Association, Pit Boss?
So it starts before that, man. I bought into a gym. It was a different name, different brand. I bought into a gym when I was like 23 or 24. And with these guys, I was really basically approached to buy into the gym because there was two guys that were having problems with each other, and I was a part of the gym. Like I helped them start the gym and all this. I wasn't an owner or anything. I just helped them start. I helped them put the mats in and everything, and I was helping them from kind of the beginning. And they were having some serious problems with each other. And they basically said, hey, we need somebody to be like a tiebreaker, like a third, to kind of come in and help us be able to manage the business and all this. So I bought in, and it did not get better. It was like a full-time job. I was trying really hard to be the peacemaker and all this, and it just wasn't happening, man. The guys were at each other's throats constantly. And before this happened, though, before I even bought in, it's important to clarify that my wife and I started the coffee shop way before that. Like we started the coffee shop in September of 2020. These guys started their gym in November, I believe, of 2020. And so my wife and I, as soon as we started the coffee shop, the town came to us and said, you can only operate here for 2 years, then we're going to have to find you a new location. So we were like, whoa, what do we do? We literally had just spent all this money opening the coffee shop, and we knew that we only had like a maximum 2 years, and we were trying to figure out what to do next. And then the landlord at the time, our landlord came to us and said, hey, this land that's right behind me is for sale. You guys should really look into trying to buy this land and put your coffee shop there. And so we started looking into it, started trying to figure out like, all right, how could we do this? How do we pull this off? I had a good friend of mine at the time that we met actually through the coffee shop, and he was going to be my business partner, go in on the land and build a building and start a jiu-jitsu gym. And then he'd have his jiu-jitsu gym, we'd have the coffee shop, and he was going to do it. After a couple months of some due diligence, he just decided to go elsewhere. But then I approached the other guys that had the gym, and I was like, hey, there's this land for sale. Would you guys like to buy it? We could buy it as a separate company. You guys can have a spot for the jiu-jitsu gym, and then we'll have a spot for the coffee shop. And they're like, yeah, let's do that. Well, we had a meeting with like the spouses and everything, and everybody was like, okay, let's move forward with this. This sounds like a good opportunity for everybody. So we had already bought the land, and we had started already contracting with project managers, architects. We were getting through site development plan, all that kind of stuff. And then in 2021, after we'd already bought the land, we'd already kind of started the building project, they asked me to buy in as a partner into the jiu-jitsu gym. I was like, well, okay, it makes sense. Like it's been a dream of mine to own a jiu-jitsu gym, so I might as well just kind of go for it now, and it'll be smart to have business partners, and I already am going to own the building that we're building, so it all makes sense. So I bought in, and like I said, they got worse and worse. Got to the point where one of the other business partners, he hit a point with one of the guys where he was done. He was clearly done, and he just pretty much stopped showing up, and he wanted out. He didn't want anything to do with the other guy, and so he started making his exit from the gym. And then we still had the business with the building. Well, now the guy wasn't an owner in the jiu-jitsu gym, so obviously there was increasing conflict on the building side of things, and it was just all bad very, very, very quickly. And then our lease ended at our old gym in like middle of 2023, because here we are thinking we're going to get the building built pretty quickly. And we were supposed to. The contractor was supposed to be finished with the building in like 7 to 8 months. It took them 22 or 23 months to finish the building. The contractor was just it was just a joke, man. It was horrible. And they could care less about all the delays, all the costs, all this. Like we literally were fighting for our lives. We were fighting for our businesses, and we were just in every sense of the word going through hell, just literally trying to make ends meet and stay afloat. And then we lose our lease at the old building because they had already extended it. Like we had let them know we were building a new building. We were supposed to be done, and they already extended it as long as they could, so our lease was up. So then I asked one of my friends if we could just bring our whole gym and train with them until our building's done, explain the situation. You know, we paid them some rent, and it was good, it was fine. But it so happened that one of the partners that was still in business with me at the time in the jiu-jitsu gym had some issues at that gym, got into some trouble, got into some drama, and it caused my friend over at that gym to start really looking into this guy. And he called me and said, you should do some searches on this guy. You should do some background checks on this guy. And dude, I bought into the gym when I was like 23 or 24. And they had already started the gym. They were already running. Like they already had like close to 100 members. Like I didn't think about any of this. I was very naive. Like I just bought in, thought everything was good. But sure enough, turned out the guy had a criminal background and some of the worst things that you could possibly have a criminal background in. And then also had a pending charge in the state of Colorado at that exact same time. And so I had to confront him about all that. And we were still dealing with navigating the other business partner who left and left us with some issues we were navigating. So there was a point where my wife and I were like, we just, what I can tell you is we hit our knees and we really just began to pray, because we were like, okay, is this all just going to end in like lawsuits? Is this all just going to be, is this just done? Like, are we just supposed to just kind of like say, all right, well, we tried, we've done right. Like we've paid all the bills, we've paid the construction loan, we've done everything that we're supposed to do. And here we are with these partnerships that have gone wrong, these contractors that have just butchered the project. And here we're thinking, okay, well, it sounds like we're going to literally be in a Mexican standoff with everybody. Just, all right, everybody's going to sue everybody and we're going to see what sticks. That's what it seemed like for a very long time. And my wife and I agreed, and we prayed. We had the same conversation with God. We said, God, we only want any of this if you're in. If you're not, we're ready to walk away from it, let it all go. And I remember this, and I have to tell the story because this is the most important, relevant part of anything that I'll probably have to say today. And that is, I had a meeting with the business partner that was the business partner on the jiu-jitsu gym at the time still. And I had already kind of had peace in my mind with, I felt like that a reasonable offer was what I had bought in for originally, to basically buy him out and be done with it. And so we came to the table, we had a meeting, and I was like, dude, I cannot be in business with you anymore. You can't be in business on this. And you guys should have never hid this from me. You should have never let me buy into this and took my money without disclosing this kind of stuff to me. Like, this is not okay. And I can't continue on. Like, I'm ready to walk away from the gym. I'm ready to just, whatever happens, happens, but I can't be in business with you. And I was like, I'm willing to offer you something. I didn't tell him the number yet. And I said, but obviously you have to understand, I'm catching a falling knife. Like, news travels very fast and people know, like, you are, everything that's happened, all the trouble you've gotten in, people know. And I'm going to be risking everything that I have to even try to salvage this thing. And so they started their number like ridiculously high, as people will do. And I said, this is what I'm willing to offer. That's what I bought in for. That's what I have peace about. And he was like, called his wife. He's like, okay, we're going to take it. I was like, whoa, okay, cool. Well, and then we're going to just do it. We're going to see if it works. And we're going to go from there. At the time, I was still a brown belt. I wasn't a black belt yet. He was the black belt. And so there was all kinds of insecurities that I myself was facing. Like, am I going to be able to make this work? Am I going to be able to, like, are people going to trust me? Like, everybody in the gym at this point, they don't see me as like the professor. They don't see me as the head instructor. They see me as an owner. They see me as somebody who teaches regularly. But he was very much so like the guy in the gym. So that was a lot that I was having to struggle with. But the next day, so he had already sent an email out that morning without even talking to me, like announcing his resignation, all this stuff. And so right after our meeting and after we agreed to that, I sent an email, and that's not like I was crazy with like incorporating my faith or anything, but I sent an email out just announcing, hey, I am trusting that God's going to lead me. Basically, I said, I'm trusting God's going to lead me. God's going to lead the gym, and I'm going to do everything I can to make the gym best serve each and every one of you as our students. Said something like that. The next day I get a call from him, and dude, he's just like cursing me out on the phone, yelling at me. He's like, I know you're a believer in Jesus Christ, but you can't be pushing that on the gym. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's my gym. I'm buying from him. He's like, no, we're pulling the offer. Okay. And this was on a Saturday that he says this. And so here I am. This is the roller coaster that we're on. And I'm just like, wow. All right. I had peace. Now I don't know I was honestly almost like getting a little bit frustrated with God. I was like, God, I thought that this was like, I had peace about this. What am I supposed to do from here? Like, I don't know. So Sunday came, and we have a Bible study that we host at the coffee shop. We had it at our house at the time before the coffee shop was open. And we just asked her, we didn't tell anybody the specifics. We just said, could you guys please pray for us? You know, we're always praying for the community, praying for you, but we really have a severe need. My wife and I are going through some hell right now. We really need some direction. We need some answers. So could you guys just share this burden with us and just pray with us? And my wife, she's absolutely incredible. And I thank God for her faith, because she encouraged me with this song that she sent me on Sunday that talked about whenever Moses had to go up and get the 10 Commandments rescribed after being so mad at the people worshiping the golden calf and breaking them. And then God's like, oh, I'm going to send an angel with you. And then Moses said, no, I don't want you to send an angel with me. God, I want you to go with me. And then God went with him. He said, okay, fine, I'll go with you. And it says this, because I had just fought, this is important, I had just fought tooth and nail to get the gym to be rebranded to the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team. And so, and that song says, Moses didn't want the promise without the promise keeper. So that next Monday morning, I wanted to know where that came from. So I read Exodus 33. That's what it says right there in Exodus 33. That's the whole story. And it says that God set Moses in a cleft on the rock as his glory passed by. And I felt like if there was ever a time in my life where God was letting me know that he had my back and he was going to open the doors and it was all okay, it was right then, right there. I was like, okay, God,
Absolutely.
if this is what you want me to do, then you're coming with me, because I don't want to do this by myself. Just like Moses, I want you to come with me. And my dad texted me and he said, hey, we're praying over you. Don't be anxious for anything. And I texted him exactly what I just read. And I still have these text messages to this day. I've not deleted them. I have them because I don't ever want to get too far and forget. But I texted my dad back and I said, God's told me that he's going to open the door. That's what I told my dad. And I said that out of faith. And I said that out of reading what I had read. Not even probably like 30 minutes later, my ex-business partner and his wife texted and said, hey, we're going to move forward with the offer as agreed to. And I was like, if there was ever a moment in my life where I've had more faith, that was incredible. That was God showing me that he had my back, that this is what he wanted for me, that he was going to lead us forward. And so much has happened since then. It's not like everything just, it's not like the floodgates just opened and all of a sudden I had 1,000 students, right? There's been a whole lot of fighting to rebuild the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team, to get rid of the bad drama that we were part of before, to completely just start from scratch. And we had to navigate through the building drama and get all the other business partners off, which eventually we did. My wife and I were able to get through a refinance process and get everybody else's names off. And it took us like a year to be able to do that, especially under the current economic climate that we're in. And we're still honestly really banking on hopefully some better economic climates to come based on the real estate portfolio that we're holding right now and the interest rates that we have. So there's still a lot of stress, but at the same time, we know that we're walking with that promise and that purpose, that God opened these doors for us and we're here for a reason. That's what we truly believe. And so to answer your question, and I know that I took a lot of time. So your question was the timeline of opening the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team. Well, we opened in actually September of 2023. So this month actually is our 2nd year anniversary in this location under the brand, the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team. So this month is 2 years for the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team. So I'm very thankful for that. We've made it 2 years and really excited for where we've been and where we're going.
Wow. What an incredible story. And I'm so grateful that I asked the question that led to it, because you unpack so many gems there. It's a blessing for anyone, especially any aspiring entrepreneur who's going to listen to this, because you're going to have it all. You're going to have the moments you're down on your knees. You're going to have the moments where the partners screw you. You're going to have the moments with the potential lawsuits. You're going to have to refinance the debt. You're going to have to call the bankers. You're going to have to enlist your church group, your Bible study, your synagogue, whatever, your people to come in and support you. So in that short time, you nailed almost it all. I mean, you really nailed it all. It's unbelievable that, but that is truly the path of the entrepreneur. And it's why I find business jiu-jitsu to be so important, because jiu-jitsu is the secret ingredient in all of that. I think you and I share this in common, that gives you the resilience to keep coming back for more. Because the real only secret is like, when you were ready to give up, I mean, let's think of a world where you weren't a jiu-jitsu athlete. You might have given up, even with God, even with anything up, because like that, but like, it's just so amazing to think that like, there's this resilience. Some people get it from God. Some people get it from sports. Some people get it from their family. But this morning I was talking to my acupuncturist of all people, helping me get ready for the no-gi pans in a couple weeks. She was telling me about JD Vance, and what he rose from nothing. Appalachia, drug-addicted mother, nothing. How, his rise to become the vice president within 10 years. I heard him on a news interview recently. He said when he was 30, when he published the book, he never could have imagined that he would be 10 years later at, I think he's 40 or 41 now. I'm 40. That he would be where he is. And so I'm just like, I get so inspired by your story and his story of resilience and grit and stick-to-itness and creativity, because the whole Business Jiu-Jitsu book came about because my teammates would come to me at jiu-jitsu after practice and ask me questions about business. And I would just tell them all these stories about business, and they wouldn't have any idea what I was talking about. So I would use jiu-jitsu metaphors. They'd be like, well, I really want to start the business, but like, how long does it take to like make it successful? And I would be like, that's like asking me, how long does it take to get your black belt? It's like, I don't know. How good are you? How much money do you have saved up? Do you have any background in this? Is there anyone who's going to help you? Have you ever done it before? But then I would tell them like, were you a college wrestler? Like, do you have any martial arts training and background at all? Were you a judo athlete? And so these stories are just, I find, to be so foundational for winning in life and business.
Absolutely.
It's so important. Yeah,
definitely.
All right. So now I assume, if I heard the story right, you own 100% of the gym.
My wife and I, we own the building, we own the gym, we own the coffee shop. And yes, we're thankful. Even though it's a big responsibility, we're still fighting. Like that grit, that determination, that stick-to-itness that you just mentioned. That's more, and it has to be more present now than it even was before. We're going through challenges in different ways, and it's never like it's over and you hit this point where it's like, okay, we can relax. It's not it. It's, well, we got to keep moving, we got to keep shaking, we got to keep on. What's the next thing we got to overcome? What's the next thing we got to work on and refine? So that's definitely where we're at right now. And we're super happy and thankful to be here. We've learned that just like jiu-jitsu, just like whenever you start to whenever you get your black belt, it's not over when you get your black belt. The journey continues, and it's always keeping a student mindset. It's always challenging yourself and taking on that next challenge. What's next? How can I improve? How can I make myself better? And then it becomes not just yourself, but now your businesses and your community. How can we serve our community better? How can we do the best that we possibly can to help as many people as possible and to challenge and encourage as many people as possible? So that's definitely new challenges, but it's good. You enjoy the journey. That's what you learn.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So at the introduction of this podcast, I said that you are a representative of what I consider to be the next wave of entrepreneurs, a new wave. And what I meant by that was, you are working your job as a real estate appraiser. You are opening up a jiu-jitsu academy, facing all the trials and tribulations of business partnership, whilst also opening running a coffee shop. And all of that would be enough for any one man or husband and wife to have to contend with. But if you want to be successful, even in the community of Castle Rock, Colorado, there's nothing stopping you from having a global reach with media and social media today. And so what I'm seeing is this next wave, and I'm encouraging all the businesses that I'm involved with to like have this community feel, to make it so special inside of your community, but create content and go out to the world with your message. And like, you are doing that in a major way. I mean, I would venture to say that almost everybody in the jiu-jitsu community around the world is aware or has seen a clip of your jiu-jitsu league. So let me just give a little frame of reference. Let me build you up here. So Pit Boss Grappling is a grappling association and promotion that Jared created where two competitors enter a pit. So a pit is a jiu-jitsu mat with slanted walls. I'll show it in a second. And they jump into the mat. And now this is becoming more of a trend with the Craig Jones International and karate combat style events. But what you did was you put them in suits and they start grappling. And then at some point through the match, you'll throw either a knife or a gun, not a real gun, but a mock gun and a mock knife to see what happens in the event. And so technically somebody could be dominating the jiu-jitsu, but as soon as a gun or a knife comes, it seems, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, that kind of like whoever gets the gun first is almost always the winner, or the knife. Not always. There have been some cases where people have been able to fight it off, but more times than not, that is the difference maker. And wow, what an exciting twist. So anything that I've left out here, please introduce where this came from and just as much detail as you can give me on it, because I'm so interested in how this came together.
Okay, so we started Pit Boss Grappling, and that was the original. I was at the Tom DeBlass Affiliate Summit in 2024, whenever I was really kind of working on refining some of the last key details of Pit Boss Grappling, what it was. I'd already had the concept, I'd already had the logo, I already kind of had some ideas, but I was really motivated when I went to the summit. And Tom DeBlass has been a huge part of encouraging me and really giving me the instruction, the mentorship that I've needed to know what I'm doing on the business side of things when it comes to jiu-jitsu and the gym. And it's not just in jiu-jitsu in the gym, but also just in life. He's been somebody who's really, whenever I first got in touch and linked up with Tom DeBlass, he's been a really critical part of any success that we've had here at the gym. And I got to shout out Tom DeBlass because I'm very thankful for him, and I'm thankful for his leadership, and I'm super thankful to be a part of his association.
Tom DeBlass, an amazing guy. I mean, almost everybody who's going to be listening to this has some familiarity with him. And Tom, who I've spoken to many times, he always wants to come on the Business Jiu-Jitsu podcast, but he's a very, very busy guy. When the time is right, God will deliver him right so that we'll come together. But
amen.
I've had, Ricardo Almeida and all the Jersey guys and Gordon Ryan, and we've had, so many people in his orbit, and then a lot of his friends like Jamie Giovazno and all these amazing guys from Jersey. So when the time is right, Tom, you'll be on. But thank you for saying that about him. He is a very, very special human. And even the past couple of weeks, his posts have been very comforting to me with all the craziness in the world.
Absolutely. No doubt. I had actually given up on getting an affiliation, and I had applied for a few, and I hadn't really heard anything back, but I had given up. And then all of a sudden I got a text from Tom, and he said, "Hey man, sorry it took me a while to get back to you, but wanted to reach out to you. I don't have anybody in Colorado I'd like to chat." So we started talking, and the more we went through it, he was like, "Dude, I cannot believe your story and everything you've been through, and I really think this is going to be a good fit. I think we're going to be able to help you, and I think that you're going to be a good help in the affiliation." And it was really awesome, and it really made me plug into something that was bigger than just here, and it gave me a lot of inspiration and motivation to just continue to better myself in the jiu-jitsu world. And being under Tom DeBlass and him, he's actually come out a couple of times now. He was here, he was doing one event actually. This was right before his this was right after, I believe. It was either before or after the affiliate summit, but he was here in Colorado for ONE FC in 2024, and then he did a seminar at our gym. But it was awesome because he asked me at that time if I had an extra black belt, because they were going to promote Chatri to black belt that night. And so I was going to promote Chatri. And it's crazy because I just now received my brand new black belt that was inscribed with the Rock, founded upon the Rock scripture on it. And so I had my other black belt that was doing nothing. I was like, yeah, I have a black belt. So I brought him a black belt. He's like, okay, you're going to come tonight, right? Like you got tickets. I was like, no, I don't have any tickets, but I'll bring it to you. I'll meet you wherever. He's like, no, I'll get you in. So he got me in. And like, when I say he got me in, I was sitting circle side, like literally circle right in front of me. And they promote Chatri to black belt, Renzo Gracie, using my black belt, the black belt that I got from my professor, Professor Curtis Hill. Shout out to him. I started with him at 14. He gave me my black belt at high altitude martial arts here in Denver. And I was right before I had linked up with Tom DeBlass. And so they used my black belt to promote Chatri, which was really cool to be ringside and see that and just have that whole connection. But then I was already working on Pit Boss. I was working on what it was going to be. And I kind of had talked to Tom about it and bounced it off. And the basic premise of Pit Boss was, well, there's a lot of competitions out there that they're really just profiting themselves, and they're not doing a lot of good for the jiu-jitsu community by the way of, like, you know, promoting and encouraging and helping jiu-jitsu academies. There's a lot of promotions out there that they give a platform for competitors, and a lot of promotions out there that they do good. You know, there's some nonprofits, Tap Out Cancer. There's really good missions and causes out there. But really the idea of Pit Boss was, let's have an organization that any registrations, there's a profit share for the academies that bring their students. That way it's helping academies and it's encouraging academies to rally together. And, you know, whenever I was talking to times, like, dude, I think that would be something really good for the community, really good for you, really good for the school. And so as soon as I got back from the affiliate summit, we hit the ground running on it, you know, and I posted the first video of Pit Boss. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're at. And what you'll see is this: if you go all the way back on Pit Boss, the very first video, I'm wearing a suit. I recorded that video probably like 2 or 3 times, a couple different takes on different days. It so happened that I was really just ready to post it, and I know I didn't have any more time to waste. So I was wearing a suit after going to a church service, and my wife recorded that take. She's like, "This is a great take, babe, and I love the suit. Keep the suit. I think that that's going to be a real good piece of the branding for Pit Boss. It fits." And so that's the video I ended up going with. And then after that, okay, anytime that I'm promoting, like just talking about Pit Boss, I'm going to make sure that I'm wearing a suit because it just fits with the brand and it kind of makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I started making those videos in the suit. And then whenever we had one of the events, one of the adult PBG opens, myself and one of my black belts from the gym, he got his black belt here whenever Tom DeBlass was in town for the seminar, Daniel Latardo. He and I were the only 2 black belts in the gi division. And I told him, I said, let's have some fun. Let's do something fun. Like, me and you roll together all the time. And we could just make this a fun match and make it exciting. And I was really starting to think, because at some point, I don't know if it was a comment or I don't know if somebody said it, but somebody was like, you should roll in that suit. Like, on one of the videos, I was like, that's kind of a good idea, actually. And so I told Daniel, I was like, let's just do a match. Let's roll in suits. And he was like, what? No, I'm not going to do that. I don't have a suit to just throw away. And I was like, dude, I'll get you a suit. Okay. So I got him a suit, and I brought it to the competition day. And I was like, here you go. And he's like, you were serious? And I was like, yeah, I'm dead serious. Let's just do this. Let's have fun. He's like, okay, fine, whatever. So he puts the suit on. Whenever it's time for us to go, we get in there and we just go. And everybody watching, the energy was awesome. Everybody really liked it. And let me backtrack just a little bit before I get into the next part of the first video that went viral. The environment with the Pit Boss events has been very, like, I've gotten comments from other people from other gyms, other gym owners. They come in, they compete at the events, and they say, I feel like I'm walking into my own gym. I feel like I'm at home. And I really feel like that's because of the mission of Pit Boss, which was, let's grow our sport together. Let's help academies. Let's give even more of a reason for people to come out and know that we're all a part of the same team, which is jiu-jitsu, right? A lot of competitions, you go out and it's like everybody wearing a different t-shirt than you. Who are these guys? These are the enemy. They're a different school. They're different than us. We got to mean mug them or whatever. There's a lot of competitions that kind of have that vibe a little bit. And I really wanted to make a point of doing something different where it's like, we all come together. We're just having fun. It's not like this is a world championship or anything. We're having fun, and we're showing the best of the jiu-jitsu community. And we're showing what we really can be if we're rallying together. We have each other's backs, and we're all part of the same team. So that energy, I really think, is important to point out, because that is what gave the suit match, the very first suit match, and all of them to follow. That's what gave it the energy and the life and the momentum that it's had, is because it came from that kind of an environment where everybody who was there, they were just happy to be showing up and showing and highlighting the best parts of jiu-jitsu. So me and Danny get in and we do our match in suits. There was no submission. This wasn't JWI yet. There was no weapons rule set. It was just, we're gonna roll in suits. So we rolled in suits for 5 minutes, and then it was over. And people cheered, they loved it. And then we posted a video after that got a bunch of traction, and people really liked it. And so the wheels start turning here at the team, and the weapons idea kind of just came out of, how do we solve the problem? Because I really wanted, if we're going to do suit matches and we're going to make this a thing, I want to make it submission only. I want it to be exciting, because that's what I told Daniel. That's what I told him before our first match. I was like, let's just make it exciting, okay? I don't want to stall. Who cares? I don't care if you win. I don't care if I win. Let's just go. Let's go hard. Let's go fast. If we get stuck in a position, we both kind of agree. Let's scramble. Let's just go. Like for 5 minutes, let's use all the gas that we have. And boy, did we do that. And I can tell you that first suit that we were both wearing, they were not X suit. Okay. It took the first event until we got picked up and sponsored by X suit. Shout out to them. Incredible suits.
Shout out X suit.
They've been a game changer for the promotion because the first time that we rolled in the suits, man, the fit of them, the way that they were cutting off like circulation, I have never been more gassed than I was. And Danny will tell you the same thing. Something about wearing those suits that like whenever they're fitted and they're kind of tight, it was like we were gassed to our core. Like, and we had more matches after that in just the regular divisions. So it was something. But I just remember the energy being incredible and the video doing well. And I thought, okay, how do we keep that energy super high pace? I want to do submission only because that's the first thing I went to. If we have points, there's going to be stalling. It's going to be slow. It's not going to be as fast paced and as energetic as what we had in our match. And we wanted to kind of match that tone and keep it super high energy, high movement, entertaining. And so the first thing I think is, well, submission only. And if it's submission only 5 minutes, then people will work fast because the biggest problem with submission only is the matches will draw out until like an hour or 2 hours, whatever, whenever you really have two high level players. So then we started just like for fun, like because we have in our gym, we've got a lot of firearms instructors and weapons instructors, and we incorporate these things in self-defense classes and in dry fire classes. And so we started thinking, because we already had the dummy gun, so like, and sometimes we were rolling, we would throw them in for fun. And I started thinking, I think that this could actually work, like the whole suits thing and everything. So we posted a video, and this was from the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team. This was just like a training session. We were just rolling, and we were in Noki. You can see this. This was like the very first video that we ever put out that got over 1 million views. And it's just us throwing guns and knives while people are rolling in Noki. And I was like, okay, this is definitely going to work. And we actually put in the caption on that, like testing out JWI overtime weapons rule set. And so that's what we rolled with. So we're like, okay, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, we're going to flip a coin. And that coin, we have custom coins now, by the way. It has a gun on one side, has a knife on the other, which is pretty cool. But you flip a coin, and then you either put a gun or a knife in at 4 minutes. So it's 5 minute match, but at 4 minutes, that weapon gets put in, and they have to fight to that weapon if there hasn't been a submission yet. So if you watch all the JWI, all the matches, there's some really cool, fun, high-level jiu-jitsu exchanges. I mean, we had a flying armbar go viral. We had like this lapel choke with the shirt go pretty viral. Like, there's been some really high-level submissions and fun things happen. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, if there isn't a submission, it's still super fun, super energetic, and fast-paced because we're fighting to a weapon. And then kind of just naturally, all the people on the card started just like playing dead. It was just something that kind of just happened. Like
it just
there
happened,
was no coaching, there was no acting lessons. It was just there's like, okay, we're gonna play dead, right? In more recent iterations like JWI 3, because we do have more people on the card now, I did have to kind of have a pre-event meeting, and I told everybody, listen, please guys, be a good sport and play dead. I told them the internet will love you because of it. Please, if you get shot, you get stabbed, just play dead. And everybody did. It was really cool. And
I'm so happy you brought that up because I meant to ask you, and I just forgot to write it down. But I'm so happy that we got there.
That was the very first weapon kill was my match against Chris, and that was supposed to be me versus Danny. Danny had some circumstances that day and wasn't able to make it, so Chris Parrish filled in, and that was the first weapon in JWI to actually go to the overtime rule set. Before that, all the matches were submissions. And I never seen anything like it. And even some of the guys on the card, I know them. Like, dude, I've never seen you work that hard for a submission. And everybody was like, dude, I didn't want a weapon to get put in there. It's any man's game if the weapon's in there. And I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. So it motivated the competitors to work harder, to go for submissions and try to finish it early. But then whenever it actually got to the weapon, then it's still exciting, still super fast paced. So the very first weapon kill was me and Chris just naturally played dead. It was awesome. He was the first guy to do it. And then it was Troy and Matt. They were the last match on JWI 1, and I was the first one to go to a gun. And then after that at JWI 2, like without having a meeting or anything, people just playing dead. I think it's because it's that energy that I talked about with Pit Boss events. It's the best parts of jiu-jitsu. Everybody's all smiles. And that's what happens at JWI. It's smiles, and it's hugging each other, dapping each other up at the end of every match, whether you win or whether you lose, whether you got tapped out or whether you got shot or whether you got stabbed. You're all smiles and you're just having a good time, and that's just an electric energy that the crowd feels, the competitor feels, everybody. It's just all smiles, and it's super cool. It's an awesome experience.
So before we wrap it up, I want to just ask you one more question, because I could almost guarantee that we're going to have more conversations in the future about all this and stay in touch with all of your business. But what has unlocking this content, this global reach that you have, millions and millions of views, done for your local business, The Rock and others?
I have had a couple of walk-ins for it. I've had a couple of walk-ins. If I'm being honest, the Pit Boss side of things, I think that right now we're just starting to tap into the potential. Like millions of views. I think that it's consistency. I don't think that it's intensity. I think it's consistency. And I think as we are consistent over time, we're going to see even more changes, more walk-ins, more people come up and support the gym, support the coffee shop. But I can tell you this: I just now got the very first paycheck ever just for views from TikTok, actually. And it was a pretty good feeling. I screenshotted it. I showed my wife, was like, this is pretty cool. Like, this is just a nice little side check that just came just from putting our content online, which is awesome. TikTok, I was hesitant and reluctant just because I'm like right on that age where I wasn't on TikTok. I was like on Facebook, then Instagram, and then TikTok came around. So it was kind of not really super motivated to get on. But one of my students who's younger, he kept telling me, you got to get on TikTok. So I put Pit Boss on TikTok for JWI3. So our TikTok's really only been live for a short amount of time. And it's our biggest platform now. It's got like 45,000 followers or something like that on TikTok, which is awesome. So my first paycheck from there. We're growing the YouTube. The YouTube's what I'm really trying to focus on, because that's where we're focused on live streaming these events. So we're on all platforms now, but I can tell you that I am motivated that people are enjoying the content, and not just the people online, but the people who come to the events, who spectate, and the people who participate in the events. My biggest motivation in all of this comes from having an event where everybody who's here, boots on the ground, they just love it. That's what
I was that's exactly what I was hoping that you would say, because your global reach gives you so much local credibility. Because like any customer that's going to come visit the coffee shop or join your academy, like here you are doing something with a global reach from your community, and you're getting, me, I'm a guy in New York. Like, do you think I'd never even heard of Castle Rock, Colorado until this year. It's only in between two places I know, but now you're putting it on the map in a way that, like, that is something that inside of communities, like, this is why I said it's a case study for all young entrepreneurs. If you're in Wichita, Kansas, or even like a town outside of Wichita, Kansas, or you're in Greenville, South Carolina, or Okeechobee, Florida, like, it doesn't matter. You can go on the internet from your phone. You can start any kind of business that you're passionate about, whether it's pottery, jiu-jitsu, washing driveways, fixing cars, and you could create global reach and service your local community. And this guy's name is Chris Dixon. He's like an internet entrepreneur. And he wrote an essay. It was actually a commentary on a bigger essay, but he wrote an essay around 2020 called 1,000 True Fans. And it was about that you don't need 1 million followers to have a successful business. You just need 1,000 true, loyal, bought-in fans. And that resonated with me great, because in my fashion and clothing business, we have about 300,000 active customers. And I was like, wow, wait a second. I'm not making any content, but I already have this many customers. And so it set me on my own content journey for Business Jiu-Jitsu and the podcast and posting on social media more regularly. And just so, anyway, I'm very, very inspired by you and what you do, and so happy to get to know you and learn about it, hear your story.
Can I say
one
more
thing? Your story is everyone's story.
Real quick, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go, of course.
Because I know we got to wrap this up. But one more thing on that reach is, what I do have to make sure that everybody understands is that reach and that global awareness. And even if it is global for Pit Boss now with Brazil, there's people in Asia, that it's definitely global. But the doors that it's open, I mean, I'm sitting here in front of you because of Pit Boss and because you came across the video, you liked the content. But it's also like JWI3, we had Dylan Island of Lake Castlevania. He is the actual music producer for all the John Wick movies. He was here with us at our gym, and he absolutely loved it. He posted like 1 million stories on his Instagram, and he told me after how much he enjoyed it, how wholesome it was, how he felt like, even though like, you know, we're having jiu-jitsu matches and simulating violence, like it wasn't like anybody was taking it super serious. It wasn't like this underground fight club. It was just fun, and there was families there. It was a family-friendly event. Like, he talked about how wholesome it was and how he enjoyed that. And now there's other doors that are opening up, and I don't want to speak until things are completely.
Well, I don't know anything, but I'm manifesting that Keanu is going to come and do a JWI match. You don't have to say anything. I don't even know if that's it, but I'm manifesting it. I'm going to pray for it for you, and then even more success from that, God willing.
Amen.
Let me share a few of your great links so people can connect with you if they so choose for any of your businesses. First and foremost, here is Pit Boss Grappling. Let me close this out. It is Pit Boss Grappling on Instagram. Is it the same on TikTok? I don't have TikTok.
Same on TikTok, same on Instagram.
Yeah. Here you are on.
Same on YouTube.
Yeah. Same on YouTube. Perfect. Jared Haymon on LinkedIn for any business. You're still doing real estate appraisal, I imagine?
I still am doing real estate appraisals at the time. Maybe we'll be phasing out in the next couple of years.
And good. That's what you're supposed to do when you're on the mission. Here is the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team on Instagram. And here is Udalali Coffee, also in Castle Rock. Is it in the same building?
It is right next door to us.
Awesome. And here is Valiant Valuation. I will put all of these links on all of the podcast. The podcast can be found on all podcasting platforms. Spotify is my favorite, but I also do a whole lot of YouTubing, and all of these clips will be on TikTok as well and YouTube Shorts. So please support Jared in any way that you can by watching Pit Boss Grappling, John Wick Invitational, stopping by Castle Rock Jiu-Jitsu or Udalali Coffee. Hit him up at Valiant Appraisal. And Jared, it is just such a pleasure to meet you and get to know you. And please call on me if I can be of service to you in any way. I'll follow up with you after, but I got a rash guard and a book here for you. We'll ship that out to you. Abby, my assistant, is listening in. And just really grateful to get to hear your story and know you.
Awesome. Thanks again, Jordan. You have
stay on, and we'll connect for a second before we head out. See ya.
All right.